Scream out the sewer like laser beams. Get rocked with the shell shock pizza kings. Can't stop these radical dudes. The secret of the ooze made the chosen few emerge from the shadows to make their move. The good guys win and the bad guys lose.
Like all, you have selected slow and horrible.
From the creator of The Simpsons.
Renae Jacobs, everybody. Any of these chairs are appropriate. I don't know why I said that into the microphone.
Audience, we have confirmed all of these chairs are in fact appropriate.
They are in their full upright position.
Alright, the guys are coming, but let's get a big turtle power on 3 to get them encouraged. I'm gonna video. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Turtle power! My video wasn't working. Okay, ready? I can hear you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Turtle power! You guys are great. Thank you.
Is there a way to sign it so that you're signing louder? Like more emphatic? Does that mean higher volume? Yeah. Okay. I'm learning all these things. Here we go. We have, ladies and gentlemen, Maurice LaMarche. Barry Gordon. That's it. The entire show's them.
I'm going to sit way over here because I'm not a turtle. I'm merely a lab mouse bent on taking over the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Clarke. We have some other attendees. And Rob Paulsen. And last but not least, Townsend Coleman. Your starting lineup for... No, I'm just kidding. All right. Before we get started...
And the rest of the Los Angeles Rams.
I was told before we get started that this wonderful gentleman in the front row named Juan, he went out and purchased these mini turtle heads if you wanted to have your turtle in front of you while you're talking or whatever.
I want to know if anybody up here is a juggler. Go ahead. And I'm not.
And Rob
Rob is, we call him Gunga Rob. Because he's always getting one.
And they're so tasty.
It's from Juan. It's from the show.
Thank you, Juan. So this is actually the finals
You're
from
a better
American
man than I
Idol,
am,
right?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah,
I
this
have
is
my sock
the last
prepared.
audition right here. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you all for being
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah. Don't thank us.
It's so exciting to have all you guys together in one location, and I just want to say we all greatly appreciate the entertainment you've given us over the years, and that you continue to provide by just being at these shows. We have so many questions coming from the audience today. But
So do I.
You have questions for the audience. Oh, okay. Well,
Why are you paying this kind of money to get our autographs? Because what you don't realize is Cam's here for free.
It's the free
He rode
day
his
tribute
bike.
Ninja Turtles. All right, we're going to start off. I brought some questions just to get the ball rolling. So, for the group, can you tell us about a time when one of the actors from the later generations of Turtles came to you for words of wisdom?
Next question.
Well, Rob came to me. And he said, I'm going to be doing Donatello now. And he said, do you have any words of wisdom for me? And I just said, be kind. That's all. I just said, be kind to the character. And don't make him too much like Raphael. And he didn't. And he made it his own. And actually, he's a wonderful Raphael, and I'm really kidding. But a wonderful Donatello. But I will always know him as Raphael. And we love him in both guises. So,
Guess what? I have turtle balls.
I'd like to remind everyone this is a family-friendly show.
How nice for you. I'm just saying, your mind is in the gutter.
I'm a terrible bowler. That is very true. We'll do another question entirely. So, now this is for Cam, since Cam was just speaking. Any kind of...
I'm shy.
Oh.
I'm shy.
Is it any advantage to you to have grown up in California as an actor? Because I know many of you grew up on the East Coast, right? Is that correct?
California.
I grew up
California?
mid-coast.
Mid-coast, yeah, Michigan, Ohio, Toronto, yeah.
Cleveland.
You're not going to turn that into a song, are you?
And that is why he is the bride.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the answer. All right. So, you guys, your careers started and expanded past Turtles, obviously, in Pinky and the Brain. So, how has voice acting as a profession, how has it changed over the years? How is it different now?
Well, they used to hire me. You beat me to it. And now they don't. And now the end is near.
so we face the Narfi curtain. My brain, he's almost clear, except he never joined Scientology. All right, so the way it's changed is this. There is a proliferation of non-union work, and actors out there willing to work non-union. Some of them are even in the union and doing it under the table. And yes, I understand these are hard times, and there's this thing called financial core, and it's all business jargon. But we've got to, you know, as union members, we got to stand strong, even if we feel, and you know what, nobody's time is up. You never know when the word comes back around. I mean, I'm on 2 reboots, and you know, this is the third time Futurama's been rebooted, and 4th, including its original boot. You know, Disenchantment, another show from Matt Groening. You know, where we just, it's like well, I guess that's it for Matt, Simpsons and Futurama. What could they expect more? And Disenchantment is actually the show he's most involved in, and the Animaniacs reboot. And you know, I mean, it's like you sit there thinking, well, that's it, and then all of a sudden, these legacy shows start coming up, and new work will come up, and you know, we'll all get hired again. Right now, I'm in a little bit of a fallow time in terms of new bookings, and I just won an Annie for Zootopia Plus. But I'll tell you a secret. I don't have a single recording session on my calendar for the next 2 months. So, you know, is there ageism? I don't know. But I do know this, that, you know, if we stick together as union actors and work only union projects and say no to non-union, you know, then the residual checks will start coming. There's a wonderful story Bob Bergen has up on social media about an actor who was so thrilled to get a national commercial, and he said, "Oh, I guess you'll be getting those Class A uses." He goes, "What are those?" This is when you're, you know, it airs during prime time on ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, and you get these giant checks. Oh no, I just did a buyout. You know, it's not union. You're effing
$500.
Exactly. You're effing yourself. You don't understand. Stand strong for a union.
Yeah, and, well, we have an extra impetus to stand strong for union because Mr. Barry Gordon right here used to be the president
of the Screen
of our
Actors
Screen
Guild.
Actors Guild.
I will jump in to say that what is different is with the interwebs opening up, 5 million people audition for every part anymore, where when we came up in the 80s and 90s, which was the Renaissance, the golden era of animation, there were about these many people,
always
doing the
knew
voices.
exactly who your competition was.
Yes, and it was friendly, and you'd go, hey, Townie, did you read on that one thing over at Hanna-Barbera? Because you really should. People helped each other out, and it was, we'd be at auditions at these certain places, and the casting people would come out into the lobby and go, will you people please keep it down? It's like a party out here. And we're like, yeah, well, it kind of is a party, sorry. Shh.
The other thing is we used to record together.
Right.
And the reason I think that Turtles and Animaniacs and all those shows were so special is we got the opportunity to play off each other and develop personal relationships, and these characters would not be what they are had we been out on our own in a booth, either at our home or in a studio. And so these guys, all of these guys, created and lifted these amazing characters off the page. It is because of these actors that you guys still love Turtles.
Yeah.
We were able to bounce off each other, which you really can't do if you're just doing your lines, what we call wild, which means one at a time. And that led to some improvisation, which sometimes the network liked, sometimes the network didn't like, but we did it anyway, and we had fun. But the other big change is the other side. Mo talked about non-union and all of that. There's another side to it, which is star casting.
Oh, yeah.
So now, we've got Jackie Chan playing Splinter. So, and that's cool, but it is harder then for people who are known as kind of voice actors, because we're competing, Brad Pitt could be up for a role that we're up for.
When they rebooted Lion King, I was like,
Yeah.
great, I got a new new series going on. And they gave it to Rob Lowe. And I asked the producer, because they had me on to be some vultures and other jungle, I was a Cockney vulture on that thing. But Rob Lowe can get on the talk show circuit.
Sure.
He can promote the show, whether, Ellen's not going to have Clarke on, but, I know, I love you guys, that's not, but her show's canceled. But, so there's the business part of it, and as disappointed I was, I get it. And it's come back to me now. That show is gone, and I'm now back in doing the, whatever theme park stuff and stuff.
What you're hearing is the business has changed a lot.
A ton. Now, I've got a little different perspective too, because along with my animation stuff that I've done over the years, really a big part of my career was voicing network promos. So I was the voice of NBC for all their comedy promos for 16 years. So all the must-see TV stuff that you saw from 1993 through 2009, and the Tonight Show promos for Jay Leno, were the promos that I voiced. That was the days when the networks would stick with one voice, and I was really super fortunate and ultra grateful to be one of those guys. Now it's not like that anymore. All the networks are changing, and they're wanting to have different voices, maybe a voice per show kind of thing. So it's changed a lot. It's nothing like it used to be.
I'll tell you, the comment was made, and it's absolutely true, about star casting, but Maurice and I have a great example that the authenticity of the characters is what's important. And when Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain were being rebooted, Mr. Spielberg from the get-go said, if we do this, it's going to be with Tress and Jess and Maurice and Rob. And I think, oh, thank you, sweetie. One of these days we'll figure it out. But he was correct, and it's not. Look, we don't draw them, we don't write them. It takes upwards of 200 people to make an episode of these profoundly gifted people. But we're the ones, thanks to you folks, who get all the juice, and it's incredibly humbling. But when you have the king of Hollywood, who's the biggest nerd of all of us, who says, oh, that was a great show, but why are we gonna put, as Maurice says, make Peter Dinklage the brain and Russell Brand Pinky? It's...
The simple point is that if you're gonna, Steven realized, I call him Steven, I know you still have to call him Mr. Spielberg. Steven realized that if you're gonna give people back their childhoods, don't F with it. You know, give them back their childhoods. Give them the voices they grew up with. And that was his wisdom, and that wisdom was not shown on other shows.
Yeah, and so it was all about Steven. And my son is in the video game business, and a couple of years ago, I guess now, he was at PAX East, and he called me up when they had just released Shredder's Revenge. And to exactly the point we're speaking on, the first thing he says, Dad, people are flipping out that you guys are in the game. Everybody's going, oh yeah, the game's great, it's nostalgic, but oh my God, that's really Michelangelo, that's really Leonardo. And it made that game is huge. So there is definitely something, look, we're in show business, we get it. And Cam's point is absolutely valid. And if you got $500,000 and you want to have Brad Pitt be the talking dragon, great. It's the way it goes. But it doesn't necessarily mean the show's going to be a hit. So none of us, especially as evidenced by this weekend, none of us have anything about which to be sad or chuffed or anything. We got nothing.
Because we got you, babe.
That's right. You guys are the only reason that we're able to do this gig. It's remarkable. It never is not incredible. And we all get a chance to talk to each other and say, holy shit, we just went home from 3 days exhausted of saying, thank you.
Yeah, right.
How much better?
Your flight was canceled.
Yeah.
And it's 4 days.
Yeah. But, and I promise, obviously Yakko can't shut up. But not only did Mo and I and Bridget, our friend Bridget, did we miss, our flight was canceled, but you guys, we got here at 3:30 yesterday, and hundreds of people stayed.
Waited. Yeah.
And the ones who couldn't came back. Are you kidding me?
Rob, I think the reason for that, I can speak for the audience when I say, is we see you guys as the star casting.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Really, because honestly, if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be here.
Well, I think part of that is, you know, when you smell something familiar and it brings you back to your childhood, I think that the sounds work the same way. You hear something and it brings you back to those safe places where you were watching cartoons and eating cereal and all that good stuff. So you guys bring good memories to everybody.
You know, Robbie just touched on it with the Shredder's Revenge. That after all these years, that was actually the first Ninja Turtle video game that came out where they actually used us. After all these years.
I didn't want to, I almost didn't bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up because you guys kind of started hinting towards this. So I'm going to ask a question you may not be able to answer. For the 25th anniversary of Turtles, they did this straight to, well, they already know. They're ahead of me on it. They did this straight to video Turtles Forever thing, and I don't understand why you guys weren't involved. Do you have
Non-union.
It was non-union?
It was non-union, I'm pretty sure.
Right. I was asking because I don't know. I was like, why wouldn't you do that?
I seem to recall that was
I think that's correct.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no, because like Mo said, not only are we fortunate to be members of Screen Actors Guild, but we absolutely, say respectfully, look, thanks for thinking of us, but I not only can I do it, I won't. I mean, Hollywood has given me everything. I have nothing but love for that business. A bunch of us came from Mo. We got to LA a million years ago. And if I, the Screen Actors Guild, the residual structure, and all these things that allow me to put braces on my kids' teeth and buy cars and food, if I just said, well, yeah, I'm going to be the talking pig in some Poopy the Love Dog show or something, it's going to pay me $1,000, there's no way I would do that.
Hashtag Poopy the
You know-
Love Dog? Is that
Oh,
the-
yeah. It was canceled before it was started, yeah.
Listen, I remember when I was still in Cleveland and I got my SAG card doing a commercial in Cleveland. And when I moved out to LA in 1984, the first time I went to 1884. The first time I went to the Screen Actors Guild headquarters was such a rush for me.
Wasn't it?
I felt like,
On Sunset, right?
yeah, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is Hollywood,
Yeah.
and this is the Screen Actors Guild, and I'm in it, and I've got the card, and
I thought, I'm in the same union as Robert Redford.
right.
No, that stuff, to this day, if I'm working in Hollywood and I'm on Gower, and I look up at the Hollywood sign, I pull over and take another shot of it.
Yeah,
I've been in Hollywood.
when you're right next to the Capitol building.
Oh my God, 45 years I've been in Hollywood, and it never, ever gets old. And by the way, one more thing, I promise, I'll let you speak, Frank. We have a number of people this weekend come up and say things like, oh God, I know you hear this all the time, but I'm sorry, but it's the first time we've heard it from you. And you take the time to do this. Don't ever apologize for being sweet enough to come and visit with an actor who chose this profession. Nobody forced any of us at gunpoint to be actors. And the fact that we are now celebrating some success, you ain't got to apologize to us for nothing.
Don't
Yeah,
you
and
ever
that-
apologize for telling me how wonderful I am.
All right, and on top of that,
What did I just say?
let me thank you, please, for some of you being so vulnerable and telling us your stories. It never gets old. It is something that I am eternally grateful for, because that's where we connect. So thank you.
Incredible. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you guys. Beautiful. Beautiful. I don't have anything to say.
Come on.
Making me tear up. I actually I just noticed, like, we have Pinky and the Brain on the end, and then starting with Rob and coming to Cam, we have the Tick pairings.
Yes.
And
Oh, and Mo was in the Tick as well. And
Yeah,
so
the
is-
evil midnight bomber. What bombs at midnight?
Yeah, baby, yeah.
And
Cam Clarke is Defleeter Mouse, right?
Big blue freak.
And then
I am the Tick, and this is my good sidekick, Arthur.
Well, actually, sidekick. I say things like, not in the face, not in the face.
and you were saying about car commercials earlier, Townsend, right? Maurice has done car commercials as well, right?
The 2016.
Voice of Lexus for how many
Wait a
years?
second, hold it. Here it is. Ready? Close your eyes. Think of the car. The 2016 Lexus GS. Once driven, there's no going back. See your Lexus dealer.
Rob is Mr. Opportunity. Rob, Mr. Opportunity.
Yes, I'm Mr. Opportunity, and I'm knocking.
But I gotta say, speaking of car commercials,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, the kids who are now the suits on Madison Avenue, wherever that was birthed, decided that their campaign for, was it Toyota? Honda. For their new car was they had the action figures jumping around the new car and going, remember that feeling you had on Christmas morning when you got us? And then Mikey says, and then you lost us at camp.
Yeah.
Something like that. But there's these grown-ups who you guys are now are sitting there in their big, 14-story high, office building going, what would make people want this car?
Yeah.
The action figures they had, and it's like, so we show up for this record, and I'm just like so humbled
Totally.
by that's your selling point.
Yeah, because the power of nostalgia right now in our world is so amazing.
Oh, man.
We all want a simpler time back. You know?
And all these, as Cammy says, all the suits who were there were probably, 30, 35, I guess, I reckon. And I'm telling you, the God's honest truth, as soon as we started riffing as the Turtles, there were a couple of them going like this. And they...
Just like you guys.
Yeah, it's utterly authentic, and you cannot help it. And it is the most glorious aspect of this work.
Yeah.
Remarkable, truly.
When you
To be able to say,
Cowabunga!
And get that is just beyond me.
When you start into a role, I'm aware that at that point there's probably not a whole lot of sense of identity yet, but what do you say to us about finding the nuance over time in a character?
Great question.
Well, I know, did any of you guys used to watch Will and Grace, for example? Okay, what's
I did the promos.
Okay, what's the
Just
sidekicks, the second gal? Karen. If you watch the first couple of episodes, she's using her regular voice. And then she ended up with this one. Well, Leo, likewise, if you watch the first 5 episodes, he kind of sounds just like me. Come on, you guys, we gotta think of something fast.
Yeah.
And then he started talking like this. And then you gotta think of something fast. I don't know how that happened. It certainly wasn't on purpose, but I think wanting to slide closer to you cartoony guys,
It happens all the time.
I kind of like, and it wasn't until many years later when I was shown those first 5 episodes, and I went, oh, that's Leonardo. Okay, well, note to self.
If you guys listen to Bugs is 80. Talk about the remarkable power of nostalgia.
I had a 40-year career using my own voice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will never know how I got away with this, but
Barry is
I did.
definitely the most actory of the bunch. You started when you were what, 4 or 5?
4, yeah.
4. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barry recorded, and every year he is celebrated vicariously because he recorded "I'm Getting Nothing for Christmas." That's Barry.
Yeah.
Mind you, as a Jew.
Yes. I absolutely lost my membership in that club.
Yeah.
At that moment, yeah.
I get a menorah for Christmas.
Well, that's why you ain't getting nothing for Christmas.
That's why I wasn't, yeah.
It was accurate.
No one knew.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I got a lot for Hanukkah, but I got
So that, what you guys just said really makes me wonder. I've heard this before, but when choosing a voice, choosing something that can be sustained is important, right? What can you guys tell us about that?
Well, bebop is not terribly easy to sustain because he's got that voice. But no, I think you just fall into. I think it's not that hard. I think because you become that character, and then that character and the voice go together.
But you learn, if you, like my first teachers, when I was first starting, said, do not audition with a voice that you cannot sustain.
Right.
Because you have no idea, because there are certain voices that, where I can do that a line at a time, and it's like I have to, but if it were the lead character, in the show, that would be a different story. There are yeah, but he wasn't talking all the time. Our characters were second and third bananas. And another thing is we may have, I'm sure I can speak for all of us, that like a voice, I'm walking down the street minding my own business, and this voice pops into my brain, and I'm going, I gotta find a place to use that. And auditioning, the voice that I ended up using for
Freddy the Ferret on Barnyard is a voice that I found a long time ago and would audition for it many times.
And going, nope, didn't get that one, nope, didn't book that one. And then finally someone goes, that's the voice for this. But I'd had that voice in my hip pocket for, 15 years.
Well, and go ahead, Mo. This is the perfect segue about what you're talking about.
What, you talking about Yosemite Sam?
No, well, that and the brain, in terms
Oh,
of
well.
going, oh my God.
Well, Brain I can sustain. I mean, Brain was Orson Welles, basically.
The story of what happened when you went to audition.
Oh, okay. No. I mean, I went in, and they had the model sheets, and I saw Orson Welles there on the page, and nobody else did. They didn't draw him with Orson Welles in mind. He was actually based on Tom Minton, who was just a writer on the show. I don't mean that like minimally, like oh, he's just a writer, but he was quite simply and truly a writer on Animaniacs, and he had a rather dour kind of way about him. And
Google Tom Minton,
Yeah.
M-I-N-T-O-N.
and you'll see the brain. That's the brain. So, but I didn't know Tom, so I just saw Orson Welles, and I did him as, "Come, Pinky, we shall try to take over the world." And I did it very deep, and around about episode 3, Andre Romano said, "You got to put a little more peaks and valleys in there. He's just a little all very low and in the basement, and I'm worried it's not going to read." So I thought about Vincent Price. Good evening and welcome to Mystery. So I put in just a little bit of Vincent Price, and all of a sudden he came up a little more in pitch, and there was more to do, and there was more of a palette to color with as the brain. Right, Pinky?
Yes, whatever you said.
Brilliant, Pinky. Thank you for your amazing insight. Anyway, so that's why I need writers. Anyway, but I also walked into the party of Yosemite Sam after Mel Blanc died, and that's a voice that I couldn't sustain. Even though I did it for 25, 30 years. Ooh, I like you! But I would go home from sessions and get a vocal strain, and I'd have to go to voice doctors and go on vocal rest. So finally, a few years ago, I had to step away from the part because I was doing that very lucrative Lexus campaign, and I was coming in to go, "Lexus, it's a great car." So what's wrong with your voice? Well, a season to remember. I was doing Yosemite Sam. And it was like they were giving me a car, and I was like, I gotta stop doing the scale cartoon for the Warner Brothers folks.
Okay, do me a favor. You're gonna love this, especially Saturday morning cartoons and all that entails. Close your eyes. Okay, close your eyes for a second.
Follow your nose, it always knows. Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal with natural orange, lemon, and cherry flavors. Now that's a voice I could sustain for all that time.
37 years.
37 years. And then, just before the pandemic, I was doing a project with a casting director, and he said, "Listen, I feel like doo-doo about this, but they're recasting Toucan Sam." And I was like, "Well, couldn't last forever. That's fine." He said, "Yeah, but they're doing it non-union." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So the kid who got it, and they youthened the character up, and he looks like a kid. I know that kid is going, "Wow, I'm Toucan Sam, and I'm getting $1,500 a spot." Yeah, that sounds like terrific money when you walk out of there and they give you a check for $1,500, but he doesn't get a residual. And I will tell you that campaign alone, and I don't usually like to talk actual dollar figures, but just to give you an idea, that campaign alone was worth $60,000 to $80,000 a year to me. And I only made 6 commercials a year. So that's the difference between working union and getting residuals. I could have lived just on Fruit Loops. So that's why I'm so pro-guild, pro-union.
Well, Maurice, some of us are living on Fruit Loops.
I know. Listen, I don't mean it to wave a check in front of your face or anything like that. I know how lucky I am because I do something for a living that used to get me detentions. If you don't think that I didn't walk around, at my school going, "Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?" And they were sending me to the school psychologist going, "What is wrong with him? Why does he just stop doing it?" I staggered into exactly the right sandbox in Hollywood. But, and I've been very, very lucky. And yes, I've made a good deal of money. But I have no other skills. If this stops for me, I will be at the car wash taking your money. I mean, that's all I know how to do.
I'm glad you did those impressions because for those who haven't seen it, the 3rd season of the Animaniacs reboot, there's a wonderful episode where Brain is forced into multiple impressions.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Okie doke.
And then Orson Welles, for some reason, they threw that in there.
Yes, that's right. We put it in there so that you'd see the difference between the Brain and Orson Welles. Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman, that's right.
Morgan Freeman.
Do you guys remember back when you were doing the auditions, do you remember leaving the audition feeling like you nailed it? Because I've heard from different actors. Sometimes when you feel you got it, you don't, and other times you don't think you got it, but then you do.
Yeah, go ahead.
With Turtles, when they brought us in, we read on all 4 Turtles.
Yeah.
And so I left there thinking, well, I felt pretty good about the audition, but not one necessarily over the other, so I was just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping.
Renae?
Well, I've told the story before. April was just a sketch drawing, and they told me that she was a reporter, and so I went in and auditioned for a director who was the first director, Stu Rosen, and I left. We all auditioned for everything, and I got the call. So I show up to the
I turned down the role of April.
That was nice of you, thank you. Thank you very much.
I knew you
look
needed
good
the
in
Fruit
yellow.
Loops.
I did. It wasn't in the Fruit Loops. So I go to the first taping, the first recording, and then during the break he comes up to me and he says, "Well, you weren't my first choice." And I went, He goes, "It was Cam."
You're talking about me.
He said, I played all the auditions from all the 200 women in voiceover auditions, and they didn't like any of them. So I said, I have one more, but it's not April. And so I played my audition, and they said, "That's April." So, he's like, "Oh, that just scared the hell out of me." So you just never know, whether you got it, you don't got it, you feel good, it doesn't happen, you feel like, and you get it. And then, 9 years later, and all of this time later, we get to be in your lives and you get to be in ours.
Yeah, like everyone else, I read for all 4, and I went home and I said, I want Donatello. I just identified with Donatello. I said, if I get any part in this, I really wanted to be Donatello. And I still was surprised, though. I mean, it wasn't like I said, I nailed it, I know I'm getting, because you never should say that, by the way. You just never should, you just don't. You go home and you wait, and that's all you do. You do not, if you say I nailed it, or, and you're right, usually the shows when I leave and I say, oh God, I'll never get that, those are exactly the roles that I get. So you just don't know, so you don't try to guess. But yeah, in that one, my wife said, well, which one? And I said, I really want Donatello.
Which wife?
Well, that's another story. The wife at the time said, he can say that, because everyone knows I'm not shy about this. I've been married 4 times, but my last wife, we're about to celebrate our 30th anniversary in October. So it just means persistence works. All that means.
Who knew Donatello was such a ladies' man?
But yeah, so I was thrilled when they said I was going to do Donatello. I was just really excited. But it wasn't clear who was going to do Leonardo and Michelangelo. That wasn't clear.
Yeah, when we went to
I don't want to talk about it.
And there you have it. Yeah, when we went to the first session, they hadn't decided whether I was going to be Michelangelo or Leonardo, same with Cam. So they were going to have us both record each part at that first session, and then they were going to make their choice after that. Well, after the first, so Stu, the voice director, said, Townie, why don't you do Michelangelo first? Cam, you do Leonardo first. We did that first pass, and then after that, when we did a second pass, they just never changed us. So I never got a chance
on the
to
shirt going, hey, we're supposed to switch. We're supposed to switch. Hey.
I'm like, sorry. When I watch interviews with all of you online, one of the things that stands out to me that I love is you're so gracious with each other. You're really good about telling about the rest of the individuals, and it makes me wonder. I think we all like to see you as friends in real life. Is that normal in acting? Everyone becomes friends after a project?
In acting or voice acting?
I look at it as all the same, like acting and voice acting.
But they are different communities. There are different
completely different.
I think there's a greater camaraderie amongst voice actors Not only because we're a smaller community who can do this work and who specialize in multiple characters and multiple voices, but there's so much less ego involved in it. Is this my good side, by the way? Did you see? So, no, but there is, and so, because you know the old saying, "My ego is not my amigo." We just know that if I don't get the job, I hope you get the job. That permeates our entire the zeitgeist of the voice acting community that doesn't happen in the on-camera world. So I think it's much more natural. It happens much more frequently that we develop these lifelong friendships because we're a community of people who do something that's special within the industry, and we all wish each other well. So I was on a show called Transformers Rescue Bots. It was a wonderful show. It was the only Transformers show. There were no villains. It was just the Transformers against nature, and they were all rescue vehicles. And it was a wonderful show. It was for the 3 to 8 year old set. But that cast, we still have a text chain going, and the show's been off the air. We still text each other every week with somebody has a baby, somebody's getting married, Amari Williams was getting a Griffin Rock tattoo on his arm, and he just texted the whole group to show us the progress of the tattoo. Griffin Rock is the town the show took place in. So, LeVar Burton is still on that text. He's got a lot going on, and he still is on the text chain with all of us. We're like a family. So, I'm so glad to be a part of this community. And by the way, I do have a Turtles connection. It was either the penultimate or the final episode of the OG series. I played Kronos,
right?
Who was a guy obsessed with clocks, and I think it was Sue said that was either going to be the last episode or the second last episode. So I do have a very strong connection to this group.
In our case, it was very interesting because we completely lost touch. At least I completely lost touch with everybody. Probably for 15, almost 20 years. And then Rob, out of the blue, was doing his show, Talking Tunes. And I had not talked to these guys. And so it wasn't like a lifelong thing. After Turtles, we all went our kind of separate ways. And then Rob contacted everyone for us to do a Turtles reunion show on Talking Tunes. And Pat was there, and Renae, and Peter was there. Everyone was there. And it was so much fun. It was like we had never parted. It was just really incredible. But then he started to talk to us about doing Comic-Cons, because he said his agent had said that there are certain Comic-Cons that want all 4 of the Turtles, and would you guys be willing to do it? And I was retired, but what I basically said is, if everyone else goes, I'll go. Because I don't want to do them alone, but if everyone else goes, count me in. Since then, and this is due to you, and I'm saying you collectively, meaning the entire country and part of the world, because we're going to Wales in May. But this is due to you. Now we have the text chain. Now we're brothers. Now we're always together.
Sister.
And sister. I'm sorry, sweetheart. And that's all due to you. If that didn't happen, we'd probably still not, be in each other's circle. But
So
Rob had
cheers for Rob Paulsen, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Rob pretty much had to put a gun to my head to do these. He explained it and tried to give me the, sexiest rundown of how fun this is. I'm going, it's too hard. And I am so grateful that you kept on me, because I was just like, too hard. But it's because of him.
Well, thank you, Rob, for doing that.
We've heard this from everyone this weekend, and we're dead serious. It's a total privilege. As Mo said, we know how astonishingly fortunate we are to be in this privileged position, but were it not for the ubiquity of these Comic-Cons, man. They're springing up like zits on a 12-year-old. And every time we do one of these things, we go home from 3 days of having a remarkably good time and utterly exhausted from saying thank you. Jesus, God Almighty, how much better does it get, you know? And I think all of us have this wonderful legacy of really well-known characters, of which we've been an important part, but not the only part. But now that we get to literally travel around the world and see the extent to which these characters connect with people on a deep level, and as Tony said, things like, you know, Mr. Paulsen, you'll never, guy 45 years old with his kids and his wife, and they're all dressed in their turtle stuff, and, you know, mom's a little tearful because dad says, you know, I was in the foster system, Mr. Paulsen, and I went to, from the time I was 6 months old to 18, I was in 5 different homes in 4 different states, and as long as there was a television, ... And so we get to see that this is way bigger than our paychecks, it's way bigger than ratings, it's way bigger than merchandise.
I have a new, believe it or not, we've been doing this conference long, I have a new story to tell from New Year's Day.
Please.
Oh. New Year's Day, one of my traditions in Los Angeles, especially because the weather is always the most beautiful in the winter in LA. And there's a road called Mulholland Drive, and it goes the entire length, and you can see forever, as the song says. And there's these pullouts, and everybody is just so joyful and happy about the new year. And, oh, can I take a picture? You want to be in the picture here? Let me take it for you. Blah, 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 blah. I'm at one of these turnouts, and this young couple, I said, hey, because they're like doing this, I said, let me get you that. And I'm taking the picture. And she says, in a bit of an accent, she says, are you a performer? Because you was probably dressed something like this. She says, are you a performer or an actor? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, I do voiceovers. And, oh, like what? And she's a young gal, in her 20s maybe, with her cute boyfriend, the cute couple. And I said, I'm the original Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And she said, she starts to cry. And she says, I learned English in Romania watching the Ninja Turtles. And she goes, this is the best New Year's ever. Can I take a picture of my brother who's in Romania? And there's a gentleman who came up today in front of the foster system who learned, he said, likewise said, I learned English in the foster homes because of y'all. Because of
we had the
but
privilege.
what a way to start the new year. I mean, I just went, well, it does not get better than that.
Yeah, we had the privilege a year ago of going to Abu Dhabi.
Right.
And had exactly the same experience. These people, these kids over there who spoke perfect English. And we said, how did you learn to speak such great English? From watching you guys.
Yeah.
And they all had surfer accents.
On that amazing note, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but I've been told we're out of time.
But we're just getting
I know. I was given the high sign. It's not my choice. I'm sorry. But, yeah.
Shoot the messenger!
Yeah. But I do want to say, on behalf of all of Hill Country Comic Con, genuinely, thank you all for being here and sharing yourselves with us. Thank you guys. We're going to do a turtle power. We're going to do a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 turtle power. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to Hill Country Comic Con for this weekend. It was awesome.
Once more, Maurice LaMarche. Paulsen, Townsend Coleman, Clarke, Barry Gordon, and of course, Renae Jacobs. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great weekend. Come on.
Hey guys, AJ Nyman here. For more Geekcast episodes, subscribe to us on your podcast app and please write us a review. Be sure to like us at Facebook at facebook.com/CountdownCityGeekcast. Follow us on Twitter at ccg_podcast or visit our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. See you later, guys.